Hello, and thank you for tuning into this video. Welcome if you haven't seen these videos before. Welcome back if you have seen these videos. Thank you so much for spending this now moment with myself and one another and each other, since we are connecting through the Ethernet, so to speak, the Aether, the Internet, and sharing these energies. My intention with all of these videos is that this be for the benevolence of all, in alignment with the highest levels of love light, of course. And so I'm just going to kind of go into a little bit of flow and see what we're going to come into today. So I just want to back up for a moment. I've been talking a little bit about my guidance team because if you haven't seen these videos, or even if you have, I connect with all versions of myself, my higher selves. My group, I call them my HGT, my higher guidance team that assists me, and we all have a group of beings that we are helped with every single day. We just aren't always aware of it. So we have guides, we have angelics, we have galactics, we have ancestors, and so I kind of tie it all in. And also, on a sidebar, it is also me. So I'm connecting in with these higher dimensional versions of myself and bringing that through for all of us to assist in anchoring the frequencies and the energies that we're in. So these are meant to be felt, not necessarily understood on a linear level, although there may be some messages that come through. Taking a deep breath in and a long exhale. And our galactic partnerships and counterparts and our ancestral interlacing and interweaving is becoming more of a commonality. It's becoming more of a mainstream, so to speak, but this is also a play on words, energy. And so more and more people are plugging into these multi-layered and dimensional aspects of themselves. And we invite you to plug in more with these frequencies as well. So as you connect in with these frequencies, they are then allowing your cellular structure to remember who you are, to remember that you are made up of more than just skin and bones. Yet within these skin and bones contains memories. Within your cerebral cortex, within your cerebellum, within your obviously the DNA, within the crystals that are within your body. And as you remember more of who you really are, you also connect with more of who Earth really is, and with more of the elements. And there are so much that there's this reference that I'm being guided to talk about, the story of there's a story kind of going around, or been going around for a long time, that ships landed, ships, not light ships, but back in the ancient days, there were natives to the land that had never seen a ship from the ocean. And so these ships kind of came to the island, and before the people landed, they didn't even notice them because they didn't even know that they existed. So it's kind of that idea of, and I'm not saying that that's truthfully what happened, but what I'm seeing is that all of this stuff is always around us, but we just haven't tapped into it. We haven't heard the music that's been playing because there's been so many other distractions. We haven't seen the colors because we haven't raised our frequency enough to tap into that energy. And so as these fields are allowing expansion, or as we are allowing the fields to expand, it's a co-creative community that is essentially coming together in the neural network pathways within the body, within the earth, within the astrological lineups. So if you think of the human body and having nadis, NADIS, node points Think of acupuncture, all of where the needles would go into. Think of them as nodal points, or I don't know if that's the right word for the body, but there's a reason that somebody puts a needle in your arch of your foot and it goes to your kidneys, because there's all these lines of energy going through our bodies. And this is also happening on the earth. So I'm being guided to share that we're the needles. I had to laugh because several months ago I was sharing these messages and I kept hearing, put the needle on the record, from a song. And it's not just referencing to the record and the spin, but also that we're like the acupuncture needles. So we're the crystals, we're the communicators, we're the energy transmitters that are connecting into the earth and essentially hardwiring, right, or laying the lines into the earth and allowing these connections to be made that maybe weren't possible before. So as we connect into Mother Earth, I see us, let's say I'm in Florida and I'm connecting with my ancestors over in Canada and Australia. Now I bring those up because I feel very connected with the Aborigines right now, and the Aboriginal tribes were not only in Australia, but they were also in Canada, as well as Native Americans or Indian, however you want to, all these different variations. So it's like I am plugging into the earth and therefore sending out signals to these other places where my ancestors were, will be, have been, and are. But I'm also seeing this as we have the physical body. You have the earth. It has, all of these energy centers in the earth, and the water that runs through the earth is like the blood, and the cerebral spinal fluid is the oil and the crude oil that's in the earth, and the crystals are like the crystals in our ears and the minerals in our body. So as above, so below. And I'm kind of seeing this also out in the cosmos as well. So we don't necessarily quite understand how that works in the cosmos, but let's say that the sun is a heart, for example, or Venus might be the heart, since it's love. And the sun, of course, might be the solar plexus, and the third eye may be Neptune. I'm just using, or Jupiter. So I'm using these all as examples, and I'm not far off, but I'm not exactly right on either. It's just a little guidance system. And our stars are, all connecting in, and all of the, let's say, node points. So as we tap into these other places, spaces, entry points in which we existed, will exist, are existing simultaneously, all as one, we light up the grids, we light up the motherboard, we light up one another, one in, one other, all connected. And as we light up these fields, I'm seeing a light bright, that game when we were kids, the light bright or battleship, where you plug in and it lights up the whole grid. Whew. All right. Okay. So I made reference to crude oil as being the cerebral spinal fluid of the earth in essence. And we could think of lava also being important. And I'm thinking of the song Midnight Oil, that the time has come. And so the idea is we're connecting. So cerebral spinal fluid does many different things, but I'm seeing it connecting the divine feminine to the brain, right? And so as this happens on the earth, it also happens out in the space, out in the cosmos, and it also happens in our bodies. So many beings are activating and coming online and awakening their kundalini. They're awakening their certain energy centers that were perhaps offline before. They're connecting into their guidance systems and their guidance teams. And again, I'm being guided that this is going to be shocking for a lot of people, especially because I'm getting a reference to the movie The Matrix. When Neo wakes up, he says he wants to do it. He takes the pill, the red pill? He takes the appropriate pill to wake up. And then he wakes up and he's in this pod and he's hooked up to all of this stuff, like he's basically been grown in this tube as an embryo, and his energy has been being fed off of by these machines. Now, I share this because that's what a lot of people are going to feel like when they wake up, and we're here to assist them, and we may even feel like that as we wake up. And that's okay. That's part of the process, part of the journey. We wake up and we come online, and if we're not in our hearts and we're in our heads and we haven't quite made the connection from the divine feminine up into the solar plexus to the heart sometimes things can be off balance. And many more of us are needed to assist our brothers and sisters to come through, so that they aren't feeling lost and tangled up and tripping over their own wires, so to speak. I talked about this a few months ago with nerve endings that are going to be exposed, right? If you've ever had a toothache and you have a root canal, that nerve that's exposed is constantly triggering the pain body, is what I'm being guided to share. So if you guys aren't familiar with the pain body, I recommend reading Eckhart Tolle or Googling Eckhart Tolle pain body. We create this energy around this pain that essentially, and this is not the exact definition, but this is what I'm saying in flow. And so oftentimes we find it less painful to step out of our cubicle, to step out of our comfort zone, and then we plug back into our own little bubble where it seems safer to do so. And I'm being reminded to share that that can be part of the process. You step out of your cocoon and then you step back into your cocoon, and you step out of your cocoon and you step. But for those of us that are awake, we're really being encouraged to keep this forward momentum, to keep this flow going. There will be ups and downs on this wave-like energy that's coming through, but the more stabilized we can be in our own infrastructure, our own heart space, the more not only are we stabilizing those around us, but the less yo-yo we're going to feel when we have realizations or disclosures or truths come out, and the less we're going to be attached to those truths and disclosures. So yes, we want to know our true history. Yes, we want these disclosures to come out, and yes, we want to move forward so that we can get out of this polarity and require less shadow and allow the shadow to integrate so that we can be in more love and light. However, part of that is that idea of not being so attached to any particular outcome. So we might be waiting for, again, we might be waiting for this intergalactic planetary landing. Reference to the Beastie Boys. So funny. We might get that here, telepathically. And because we can't see them, we might become frustrated. As an example, you might have brothers and sisters go, but I thought they were gonna land and I was gonna see a spaceship, and now you're telling me that what I'm hearing or my intuition is really my Arcturian brothers and sisters. Well, how come I'm not going to see them? So there's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum might have to do with politics or religion or whatever else. Any bubble, you name it, it can be a belief system. It could be about the truth of our planetary connections with our extraterrestrial brothers and sisters. People are waiting on the edge of their seats for this reunion and for people to come out and say, you're not crazy. And again, we're being invited not to be too attached to the outcome or having to be validated that we aren't crazy, because the more we want to be validated, sometimes the more it creates the opposite, right? It's what you resist persists, or what you're actually pushing it away by being so focused on it that we're not open to the other gifts that are coming into play. So I'm seeing like these. Okay, I'm going to go back into flow a little bit. I went off on that tangent on truthers. In love and light, guys, because I'm a truther. I'm all about the truth. I want it to come forth and us to share with one another what we're experiencing and what we've seen. But again, my guidance team is just saying that's awesome. But, that isn't everything. That isn't all of it. That isn't the end all, know all, be all. So it's also the same way with like truth in regards to, let's say, chemtrails or artificial intelligence or nanoparticles or, right, so many different areas. Our health system, what are they called when you, so I'll come back to that. Also politics and scandals and just you name it. Again, it isn't the know all, end all. It will bring some of that to light, but then we have to go from there and grow from there. So that isn't it. That, once that happens, that's not necessarily the end of the story or the end of the road. There's so much more that we are capable of moving into and moving out of at a faster speed. I'm hearing speed of light. The lighter we are, the faster this stuff will come, and the less we get hung up on an outcome or a result, and we just kind of keep working on ourselves from a service to others space of how may I serve? How may I better serve Mother Earth? How may I better serve my fellow brothers and sisters? How may I bring forth and let my light shine so that others can be around me and feel less stressed? Now, I want to back up because what they're guiding me to say is the old energy was being a martyr or being martyr, not murderer, martyr, M-A-R-T-Y-R, right? Martyr. But also not taking and just saying, oh, I'm going to give all of my energy to the children and I'm never going to replenish this. It's just give, give, give. I'm going to give all my energy to this group that's going through whatever it might be. We can focus solely on that if that's our guide, if that's where we wish to go. We have every right to do that as a sovereign being. But the message that I'm seeing of what they're sharing with me is make sure that we replenish. Service to others also means service to higher self, not just ego self. So sometimes being a martyr is actually feeding the ego more than it's actually feeding the all. Because if you're constantly giving all of your energy so that you can feel worthy, as an example, you're constantly giving so you feel like you're doing something good and that's the only thing that makes you feel better, and you never eat, you never sleep, and you don't take care of yourself, that is defeating the purpose. You're not really where you can be to really make as big of a difference as you can. You're only making a percentage of the difference, and then once you get sick, others are going to be required to come in and assist you, which is all about helping one another. But I think you guys feel where I'm coming from this. And many of us that are light workers have been there, done that already, or are doing it and realizing it and coming out of it. I'm also seeing reference to heart math. I talk a lot about coherence and being in the heart. And so if we're doing things what we need to do to make ourselves feel better, like eating, drinking water, brushing our teeth, taking a shower, the basics, right, our root chakra stuff are right to be here. And then we can go out and feeding us so that we can feed others. Feeding us so that we can share our energy with others and connecting constantly to source energy. This then allows us to be in a coherent space in our hearts. If we cut ourselves off and we're constantly giving, thinking that we're the ones doing it and not realizing that Source is doing it through us or that we're connected to a bigger picture, it's a closed, we're saying it's only on my shoulders. I'm the only one that can do this. That's a closed circuitry system, and it's a loop. And eventually it runs out of energy and somebody ends up very sick, ill, or sometimes worse. So we're being invited to plug back into Source, plug back into Mother Earth, stay in our hearts, take the help from our brothers and sisters, doing work like this, opening up to beautiful messages of freedom from other teachers who are make you feel good, getting a massage, getting out to nature. All of that is very important, and even more important, what they're telling me, than just going out and saving the world. It starts here because we are the world. Then we can become who we were meant to become in the world. Also, the heart. So if we're in coherence, we're sending out 5 to 8 feet around us or more. Our energy spreads. If somebody's really sucked in and emaciated is the word that I'm hearing, where they've been sucked dry, their energy's gone because they've given it all away, or they've given all their power away by giving it to somebody else and saying, being a zombie, that is a small system, and you're not going to have that effect when you walk into a room. It's going to be, it's a, again, I see reference all the time to Pigpen from Charlie Brown. The little flies around him because he hasn't taken a shower, or, it's like there's stuff around you, but you don't realize it, and it's sucking off your energy field. So once you get into coherence and you take care of yourself so that you can then, replenish yourself so that you can replenish others through source through you as a conduit, and you realize that you're not the battery, you're the conduit for the battery, that sends out a field into the heart. It's about 5 to 8 feet on average, and that energy that goes out into the field around the heart affects everybody around you. So imagine walking into a space and just feeling love and loving all this energy, and that has such an effect on people, more profound than we realize, in addition to the actions that we take from that experience, which is a whole other video. So I'm just going to end on that note. That was the message that was coming through for today. Self-care, being easy on ourselves before we go out, and we can't feed the hungry unless we're fed as well. But we can feed the hungry. We can help the homeless. We can help children that are in homes where the parents are completely shut off from source, and they're complete zombies, and they're feeding into a drug matrix or an alcohol matrix or a self-centered zombie land. We can help those kids by signing up to be a big brother or a big sister, all of those things, going and teaching a yoga class, at a library. So anyways, moving from there, thank you so much, beautiful light workers and starseeds out there. Thank you for sharing this with one another and just being in that space and holding that space for others to feel more at peace. Because if you're more at peace, other people feel that, and all of a sudden, all of these crazy things that are out there, it's not as important as it is to connect. So all of those people that are in this angst, that don't even realize they're feeding into this feeding system frenzy, so to speak, we're helping to just be like, it's all right. Let's work together, and we can do something else while we're waiting for our extraterrestrial friends to land. We can actually go out and help the world while we're waiting for the political system to kind of, regroup itself. We can go and lead by example. And if you're in politics or you're in a religious office, well, that's different. That's your role. That's what you chose to come here to do. And if that's what your passion is, then you're then the ones that are meant to change and take this shift forward. And that's where those people, that is time for them to step up to the plate and still fulfill themselves by feeling good and sending out that heart energy, and then going and sitting in a political office and saying, you know what, let's make some changes first here. Let's feed the homeless. Let's work on some love and light things, and not so much on fear and separateness, right? So there's so many different, I call them matrix bubbles, that we can connect into in order to help stabilize and balance and kind of detoxify, so to speak. I see like dirt just kind of scurrying away when you step into that space. Because when you're holding that space, those other little integers can't connect. They're just bouncing off your energy field because it's too light, it's too vibrant. You know, it's that whole thing of vampires don't want to see the light because they can't be around it. It doesn't resonate with them. And so that's what we're here to do. So thank you so much. Oh, and then that helps to allow the other energies that are fifth dimensional earth or higher densities, things like that, to kind of settle in and to anchor and to form this beautiful geometry around us. And that will combine or create a combination that then makes the light even stronger. So, awesome job, you guys. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. In love and light, guys. Namaste.